Hey, beautiful swimmers. Today we have a question from one of you, from a student, from a graduate, somebody who has taken the program and still is working on the mental mindset. Let's dive on in. If you've ever had a problem with getting your brain wrapped around owning your life and your being as a swimmer. So this particular student, she has gone through our programs and she is delighted and wowed, and her confidence in understanding her body and the water has just shot through the roof. She has a new understanding that she never thought was possible for her to be a swimmer. But now here is the tricky part. Here is where she's getting a little bit hung up. And I'm bringing this out to you now because I don't think this is uncommon, and I thought it would be very useful to share it with you. So after she told us how excited she was about what she learned, she says, however, I never could get comfortable in my local pool, right? You come, you do a class, you do a thing, and it's amazing and great, and you feel so good, but there is always, if you take lessons with us locally, or if you take it in Hawaii or wherever you take your lessons, there's always this transition time of being with your class, being with your teacher, being in this group environment, and then going out either to your local pool or going on vacation on your own or with your family or whatever the situation is. How do I transition this over? Now for her, in this particular instance, I really love using this particular example. She said she would go to the pool, and this is like a community center kind of pool. And they were trained in a specific way and a specific method. And probably, if I'm remembering right, she took lessons under that method previously, and it didn't really work for her. So her hope right now is someday that there'll be a change in that local staff and that local training, that local way of doing things. She said, I hope someday there are changes and I would go back to the pool because I'd love to spend some time in the water. But the last time, here's where it got her hooked up. Last time I went to the local pool with the lifeguard on the side, they said I needed to learn to tread water, and I was just bobbing. She went on, I asked her for a little more information. She said the lifeguard was watching me because I was very close to him at the side of the pool. Okay, or maybe the lifeguard was watching you because it was their job, but they were able to have a more intimate interaction because they were close in proximity. It was the deep water, and I was just having fun bobbing. This is good that she said that. My perception was that he was concerned about me because I didn't know how to tread water. So of course, I had to try and do that, and then it was frantic for me, and I got that awful feeling, so I just thanked him and went home. That was a few years ago. I have never gone back. Okay, first, thank you, dear student, for sharing this tender piece of yourself. Does this sound at all familiar to anybody? She's just like bobbing along, enjoying herself in the water, and then this lifeguard shares an opinion or says a sentence, right? And the sentence is something like, you need to know how to tread water. She started doing this thing. It triggered something in her at that point, like, oh, who I am, what I was doing is somehow not okay. So now I have to be somebody else and perform in a different particular way because of the sentence that came out of this person. Now we could say that the problem here is that she didn't know how to tread water, right? She was frantic, she didn't know how to tread water, therefore she doesn't belong at the pool? No, I would disagree with that. I mean, the only way that you can learn to tread water or anything else is to be in the water doing something that's fun and enjoyable, doing something that keeps you going back over and over again, expanding and building and opening up your skills. I mean, you'd never tell a 5-year-old, well, you can't swim at the pool until you can tread water. It just wouldn't make any sense. You would say, You get to swim at the pool. You need to swim at the pool. We need to go there and play and have fun and try out some treading water and then go do some other things. And maybe you work hard a little bit of the time at one little area, but let it go, and then you play some games and make tea parties on the bottom and do things that keep you coming back. One of the things that I want to offer and make sure that we're very clear on is that there is a difference between a circumstance, what we think about a circumstance, how this makes us feel, and our reaction to it. This is a coaching model that I use in life coaching, in where we're breaking down a scenario into these individual parts and individual segments. So the circumstance that this particular student is talking about is that the lifeguard said, and we'd want to put it in quotes, you need to learn how to tread water. And when I talk about a circumstance, this is just a neutral thing. It's just a factual thing. Anybody walking by could have heard the lifeguard say this. Now, I didn't hear her in her story say the lifeguard said, you need to learn to tread water, so get out, or you don't belong here, or something's wrong with what you're doing. No, I'm not there, so I don't know. Maybe they did say those things. But from what the report is that the lifeguard just said some words. Said words like, you need to learn how to tread water. It's completely neutral. This is not good or bad or right or wrong. Even as they are looking like some sort of authority, right? They do have a certain amount of authority in the pool space. But really, this person was just sharing a sentence. A sentence that was in their head is now out into the world. We have sentences we share all the time that are not necessarily true, not pertinent to me, not pertinent to somebody else. People say things all the time. Go look at social media, right? We say things all the time that we can just let go because they're so off the wall or not relevant to us. Or we do another thing where we don't let go of them and we make meaning out of it. So we have a circumstance, but then we have a way we think about the circumstance. So our thoughts is what creates the feeling we have in the moment. And our feelings drive all of our actions. So when we look at her story, her action was to start moving frantically to try this treading somehow. She went from bobbing, having fun with bobbing, to feeling frantic and trying this treading thing. It's not a problem that she didn't know how to tread, it's that she was feeling frantic. And the reason why she's feeling frantic is she had some thought between what the lifeguard said and feeling frantic. There was some thought that was inserted here. And this is very key if we want to change how we show up to the water. And I hear her saying she didn't go back for several years. That isn't helping her swimming. She wants to be in that fun, feel-good, growing place with her swimming. So she has to be able to get to the water. She can't be feeling frantic to leave and go away and say she doesn't belong there. What is that little thought in there? We might attribute it to, well, the lifeguard has to change. The lifeguard may or may not change. We are the only ones who actually can be at the influence of our own change in the world. So we want to get really curious and see, what was she or what were you? Fill in a story in your own way here. What was the sentence there that was creating this feeling of frantic? I'm behind still. I still don't know what I'm doing. I have to do that other program that they're trained in doing. I'm not allowed to have fun. Something along those lines. And this is where I would ask her to get curious and to see that there's a little story in there that is causing this feeling and then this action, and then you get this result of not swimming. So if we want to change the result we have, we could start with the action line which is treading, figuring out the skills of treading, or we can start out with this thinking, feeling line, which takes it a little bit deeper, takes your experience a little bit further to unlock this franticness that might be coming in on something like treading water. Gosh, How do I really want to feel in the water? This is the question that we ask students. Do I want to feel frantic? Or do I want to feel curious or calm or in control, grounded, present, safe? How is it you want your swimming to feel? What is it that I need to be thinking? And what circumstances do I need to be creating? I know for me, when I learned to swim, when I taught myself to swim, really, when I was very young, her scenario spoke very much to me because I went to the public pool. I failed all my swimming lessons, by the way, but I still loved the water. And I went to the pool and I would set up a circumstance that was very close to the lifeguard because I did want that sense. I had the sense that I didn't really know what I was doing. And so I did want to be close to help if I really needed it, right? I wanted to make sure they were going to be able to see me. But I also was put myself in a place where I could kind of be on my own. Now, this was a big public pool, so I was never really on my own, but it created this mental space of being on my own to tune in and play the little game that I played. I called it Lost in Outer Space. And I just spent a lot of time discovering and figuring out and playing this little game I had in my own zone there. I had to do it. I created this thought and feeling pattern, which allowed me to discover how my body and the water work together. And the result is I kept going back, and I've developed, hopefully, obviously, my swim skills a tremendous amount over the years. Learning to swim, especially as an adult, is not just about the action line, this A line of doing. It's about our thought and feeling part of the model, our thought and feelings that are driving the actions. What is the fuel I'm using to drive my actions? Am I letting something that a lifeguard says, an opinion, a random thought, maybe they think it's helpful advice? We don't know. What really we're at the effect of is, what do I make this mean? What do I make it mean about me? How does it change how I show up? Does it help me show up in a way that is beneficial to my learning? Or does the thing that I make it mean have me kind of play small and not show up for my own dreams and for myself? If you ever want help talking through a scenario like this, how do I break this down? This is exactly what we do with our members, where I can meet with people one-on-one and we can hash out a model like this. We call it a model. It's so important for you to take care of your mental well-being as you discover the beautiful swimmer that is in you. I'd love to do it with you in Hawaii, love to do it with you in Seattle, or online. Aloha.